Hello and welcome to the Special Moves podcast. This is episode 133. My name is Mike Williams. These guys are Jake Kulkowski and Liam McKelvey. Hello.
Yes.
Hi.
Hey, yeah.
How's it going? Are you guys boiling hot as well, or?
Yeah, absolutely.
First time in podcast history, I've got my stupid Ray of God window open ever. So if you hear the sound of seagulls, traffic, or people fighting, sorry.
Just the exotic tones of
the coastal whales.
Yeah, the best place on planet Earth. Yeah,
true, yeah.
Exactly.
Seagulls. There's too many seagulls in Wales, man. My parents live inland in a village, and there's fucking seagulls everywhere.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Same. Seagulls like all over my town, and I'm not even near the ocean.
Yeah, I just don't get it. They used to congregate outside my school as well. What the fuck is that? I don't know. Hey,
It's a big problem.
fuck seagulls.
It's a big problem.
That's the official stance.
And if you're a football club and you're near the sea, your nickname is the Seagulls, right?
Yep.
It's a big. I don't know why we've got a dragon on the flag, to be honest, because.
Well, I prefer that than a seagull. Scum of the earth. Like, anyway, yeah.
Imagine. That's pretty cool, though. Like, we were just like the rats of the air, the rats of the skies.
Air rats, yeah.
was our national flag.
Another potential Battlefield 2042 squad name there.
There you go. Yeah. Actually, we've had an email about this. Okay, so I'm gonna get this out.
We're blasting off. Yeah, all right, let's go.
So we've had an email in the Dear Special Moves inbox asking us. I'll just read it out. Hi guys, why are there ducks in every podcast comment section? Wesley in London.
Yo.
Why are there ducks in every comment section of the podcast?
It's just the lineage, isn't it, man? It's like the tradition, isn't it? You don't ask people why they put an angel on the top of the tree or whatnot at Christmas, do you? You just accept it as a weird quirk and go, that's culture.
That's what Jake's saying. The actual story is our thing when we're playing games is we were trying to think of a purposefully a name that you could easily abuse and take the mick out of, and we were inviting abuse because that's all that happens on the internet.
So how can you kill me if I killed myself, or whatever Eminem said in 8 Mile?
Absolutely, that's exactly that. So we thought that we would call ourselves the Duck Boys, right, in games and shit, so that people would immediately then think, "Fuck boys," right?
Or Dick Boys. Words to live by, innit? So Duck Boys, and you know what as well? Yeah, everyone's calling themselves like fucking Hawk or whatever, or Falcons and that. Duck, waddle, but and it's just stuck, didn't it?
And we had a little motto on it was on Destiny.
Yeah.
We had a little motto which was "It's all water off a Duck Boys." Just laughing at ourselves here. Laughing at our own.
Yeah. It's just because everyone has to make the coolest clan name ever, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? So it's good to just humble yourself sometimes. So that's what it is, and it's just stuck. So
the ducks in the comment section are the people who know that we're called Duck Boys.
The Duck Boys fly tonight, baby. We play our actual Discord group chat for recording this podcast is Duck Boys Take Flight as well. Yep. Just realised. That's
true. That's not a lie.
The lore runs deep.
Yeah. So now that everyone knows, now that everyone knows, for people who listen to this podcast, get your duck out in the chat, and it'll confuse new people even more. Yeah. Now you're in on it.
And don't refer them to episode 133.
No, just like right in like the little stars. Tap speak. Do you know what I mean?
Just keep it between us. So that's what it is. It's the Duck Boys. We're the Duck Boys. So that's what that's about. Anyway, what have you guys been playing this week? Or actually, before we do that, maybe we should talk about EA.
Oh yeah, it literally was it finished 1 hour ago. So
so EA Play Live, which was their summer games showcase thing, and it's just a live stream on stage, which was a bit awkward at times. But they just showed off some games. It wasn't a huge amount of stuff. There wasn't anything. Well, there was one big new thing, I suppose.
Yeah.
Dead Space.
Yeah, it ended with the Dead Space teaser, which was very short. It certainly was a teaser. And then all of the information that you would maybe consider exciting was provided via a tweet from the studio making it. So the team who made Star Wars Squadrons are heading it up. It's a next-gen exclusive. well, not exclusive, is it? But what I mean is, it's not a cross-gen. It's on the Series, the PC, and the PS5, and it's coming on the Frostbite engine. It is a remake of the first game, and that's it.
Yeah,
that's all we know. Yeah, so it's not a reboot, reimagining, or nothing like that. It's literally just going to be the Resident Evil 2 treatment, basically.
Well, hopefully, I hope it's as good as the Resident Evil 2 treatment, because
it's going to be very hard for them to go wrong, isn't it? To be honest.
Yeah. They've got a very good template to follow at the bare minimum.
I think at the very least, at the very worst, I mean, it could be just underwhelming because it is it is fairly recent. The difference between Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 2 Remake is enormous, right? Because the game, there's so many years between both games. Dead Space is still. I would play that right now, and it still looks good. It
does actually. Yeah, it's 13 years old, and I played it back in October, and it really does do well. So, but you think about kind of a lot of the advancements in technology and stuff over the past couple of years. I think one of the ones that people say the most is ray tracing or whatever, or how or HDR and stuff like that. Yeah. Basically, light and darkness and all that is really a key focus of the graphical things. So that'll help with the atmosphere. And I think the EA's sound design team are probably the best to do it. In the industry, their sound design is whether it's a ball getting kicked past your head or a bullet from an M1 Garand, it's always or fucking TIE fighter bullets and that. They smash it. So with the atmosphere, the lighting, and knowing that the story's going to just be the story, it's going to. I'll be surprised if they mess it up. But
it's a really easy win for them, isn't it? Why wouldn't they? Especially after Mass Effect and. Took so long to get them to do Mass Effect. And people were really, really clamoring for that. I think, because it wasn't even playable on current, or is it current gen now or previous? It wasn't even playable on PS4. And it was it was on Game Pass. Mass Effect 1 was on Xbox Game Pass, wasn't it? I think.
I think they all were at a point.
At one point,
through EA Play, I think it was.
Yeah,
and then. To have that demand there for so long from people who wanted to play it on PlayStation and just couldn't. It was nice to have them finally do it. So obviously, there's going to be more now, isn't there? You're just looking back at other EA games now and thinking, what else could they do?
Yeah.
But Dead Space getting a remake. That's great. That's exciting, and I just want to see more. To be honest, I hope it's not too far away. I hope it's early next year. Hopefully, I'm excited about that.
It's not going to be, but
yeah. Well, that's what I hope.
This is Mike, fucking Death Stranding director's cut is miles away in September, Williams. So it's I've got some bad news for you, pal. It'll be 2023.
It's also Xbox should make a handheld mic as well. Do you know what I mean? So fucking.
We haven't even spoke about that, by the way.
Pay your respects.
Yeah. That is that is the thing that's happened this week, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
Should we just finish the EA thing while we're on it?
Yeah.
Because all there is else to say is Battlefield 5. Really, there was
2042, but there was Apex Legends, some new mode of that. They showed off a couple more EA indie titles. What they're going to do with Knockout City? No one gives a shit today. So
and there was the Apex thing. Battlefield 2042. They showed off the
Portal.
Battlefield Portal, which is I don't know if you remember Far Cry 5. If you're listening, they kind of did a big push on the
arcade.
So there was the thing called the arcade, which I was looking for, which I was quite excited about. I thought it was cool, a cool concept, but it just kind of died on its ass in terms of the community. It wasn't a
lot of passion
interest. There. No, I'm not saying this is the same, but it just seems it's they did as good a job as they could have with the marketing for it, and really leaned into the tabs, totally accurate battle simulator. What if you put 100 50 World War II soldiers with knives against 50 modern soldiers with defibrillators or something? That's literally what was in the trailer.
Yeah. It's exactly. It's made in dreams. One of the it's
fan-made ideas. And
I know what I sound like now, but I don't. whenever anything's down to the general public, it's normally shit, isn't it? So there's like, we're going to get one good map per every 50 shit maps made by somebody who just wants to play in the most OP way possible. So they're like, you know, somebody who's really good with pistols is going to make an only pistols map and stuff like that. So if they can get the curation down, well, it'll do all right. Like, it, you know, after they showed off the CGI trailer, they did show a couple of like concepts made by like pro players or like, you know, big FPS influencers. Yeah, there was a couple of clever ideas. Like one was like, what if a squad of like 4 to 8 like modern day soldiers were facing off against 32 World War II equipped soldiers? So, you know, that's cool. Stuff like that is an idea I could get behind. Like, you know, those asymmetrical multiplayer experiences, like, you know, even like something like Dead by Daylight or something like that could probably be replicated to some extent, you know, like the classic Michael Myers game, you know, from Halo and COD and all that. There's like a lot of fun you can have, but I think that
Halo's a good name check there, because if you're thinking that this because I said Far Cry, which kind of maybe gives you the wrong idea, because Far Cry is all like map editing is the huge thing with Far Cry. Right. Change the layout of the game. That isn't what this is. This is like the map already exists, except it's like, you know, it could be a map from Battlefield Bad Company or a map from Battlefield 1942 that already exists, and you can mess around within the map by changing the rules, and which is much more like they have in, you know, Halo 2 and shit like that.
Well, and all of the maps. Yeah, so it's kind of cool that they brought the maps from the old games into the new engine, like even you know, like the ones that you guys played, like Bad Company 2 and whatnot. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, I wanted the beta. I wanted the playable beta. It's normally par for the course around this time of year with a big shooter. Activision normally do something like this with COD or something like that. Instead, they're fighting sexual abuse allegations. Surprise, surprise. So I thought it would be a great time for EA to step in and give everyone the beta that they wanted. But some content creators have already seen and played the game. So it's out there. It's playable. Just kind of a shame that it's not really something we could all enjoy over the summer.
It just seemed they're probably trying to build up pre-orders, aren't they, before they do that? Because if you pre-order the game, you get access to the beta. So.
The beta, whenever that is, yeah, exactly. But
so I'm sure that is it's got to be soon, right? It's got to be because when's the actual game out? Is it
October the 22nd, I think.
Yeah, it's not that far really, unless it's Death Stranding Director's Cut, which is miles away. But it's looking good. I think. I mean, it just you know, it's more Battlefields, isn't it? Really, but at least
it's going to be shiny.
Yeah,
very shiny.
They're trying to do something with this mode, but I think the point of it being like fan-made stuff is a bit like, you know, whenever they're trying to like whenever anyone has tried to formalize the fan-made, like Bethesda with in Creation Club and stuff, you know, Bethesda already had a huge modding scene that then they try to formalize and bring it into the game and stuff. I can't really remember too many examples of that being storming success, but I think it is you know, the ability to have different asymmetrical modes and things is cool. And I hope, because Battlefield is an asymmetrical game, really, isn't it? Like when you're playing Rush and things, one team is defending, the other team is attacking, and maybe the defense has got a better starting point and things, so it's part of the like DNA of the game. I wouldn't mind a bit more like crazy defense scenarios and things like that that'll probably get made through this. But anyway, Steam Deck was the thing that we were talking about earlier, which is kind of like the handheld gaming PC that Valve has just announced. Liam, what did you think of this? Can you explain what it is?
It is a handheld gaming PC, as I think what Valve describe it as. It looks an awful lot like a Switch, except you can't take the controllers off the side. It's a big boy. It's a very
sue us now, Nintendo.
Yeah, it's a wide boy as well. It's a big and wide boy.
Hell yeah!
It's got like a full controller basically on either side of the screen. And yeah, it's a little PC in a handheld format. Runs on Linux or Steam's own version of Linux, which is called like Steam OS.
Yeah. And
yeah, it's designed to play games on the go. Your Steam library, to be more precise. So pretty much anything you own on Steam, in theory, should be able to play on it, even if it doesn't have like a native Linux version, because they've got a special thing called Proton, which is kind of like a virtual machine, like if you've ever run Windows on a Mac, basically that, but for running games on Linux.
And it's got the same. I don't know if you maybe if you're listening, you don't no idea what I'm talking about, but the Steam controller, is that what it's called even? So they kind of had this ambitions that you could play your PC games, any PC games, on the living room sofa with this controller, which never really kind of took off because it had like 2 touchpads. Laptop touchpads. They're a bit more advanced than a laptop touchpad, but that's what they were for your thumbs. And then that would kind of replicate the detail of the mouse movement and things, but it didn't quite really. This thing has got a similar. Hasn't it got touchpads on both? Yeah,
it's got both sides under the analog sticks. Yeah. So you can play games that only have like mouse support. Technically, it's like you could play an RTS on it if you wanted to.
Yeah. It's pretty wild that they're running with, is the processor the same as a PS5?
It's of the same family, but not nearly as powerful. It's it's like, I think it's like a custom made one that they've teamed up with AMD to make. It's basically like it's based on like the same tech that like the PS5 and Xbox Series is based on, but obviously like a cut down version because they've got to take account of battery life and heat and all that for the form factor.
So it can run PS4 era games by the looks of it, and the fact that you can play. I think it's like one of the coolest ideas ever. If it works, it'll bang, because like what the best part about it is every fucking person listening to this podcast will have at least 200 games on it when they buy one, because their Steam library is available to them. And the potential, like I travel quite a lot when we're not in lockdown, and the idea of playing Steam games on the go, especially because like with my job I get like early builds of games like sometimes months in advance, but I don't play them because I'm sat on my computer all day and I don't want to just stay up here in my attic playing games out. So a lot of the time I'll wait till we get launch codes and whatever, knowing I can literally play like early builds, and it'll be good for anyone who works in the games industry. I think for like just everyday gamers, like console gamers, it'll provide an interesting look at a whole different world. Basically, Steam is really cheap, isn't it, compared to the PlayStation 5 monopoly, which they're currently going through loads of lawsuits about. I think they've actually been successfully sued for having such a monopoly, PlayStation. Because it's
good.
Just eShop is expensive. Microsoft, they got Game Pass, so they get a free pass. But when it comes to like Skyrim, it's about £4 on Steam, or you can pay £38 for a shitter version on Switch. Well, so if you buy one, you'll buy 10 games and you'll make your money back probably.
And the big thing for me in that area as well is just that they will look better and they will run better, and that's the huge downside of the Switch. And this is what I'm saying, was it literally last week or the week before I was saying that Xbox should do this because they've got the Game Pass. And it would be, imagine all NPC games. But
I even remember thinking to myself, "That's just a laptop mic. What are you on about?"
And but I don't know if I said it on the podcast or if I said it in the WhatsApp.
No, I can't remember, but you definitely did. They definitely say it to us.
Yeah, I did.
I just can't remember where. But
if I hadn't said it, said it, this wouldn't have happened. So
it's not the first time you've done this, you see. So
of course I said it.
The only thing with it is, like, I know Game Pass doesn't work on Linux, is the only thing. But because the Steam Deck is just a PC at its core, you can put Windows on it if you want.
But you imagine good guy Xbox immediately going, ooh, let's have a conversation, Valve, about this and see what might be possible. It's totally within the realms of possibility.
You know what? Because what Liam just said then, because you can put Windows on it anyway, people will do that anyway to play Game Pass. So if Xbox officialize it, the PR for them would be So honestly, this could be really big. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to get into the whole Switch killer discourse because the best thing that the Switch has is Nintendo in it. Nintendo always going to be Nintendo. Yeah, I don't want to
worry about. I think.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you know, I'm sure there'll be people thinking about, well, yeah, you can get the GameCube emulator on there. You can get a Switch emulator on there, and you're laughing. Yeah, you can, but Nintendo will always have its fans because it's just. Yeah. You know, it's got that loyalty because they make bangers.
Also, it is great. Nintendo is great, you know, and they've sold all the Switches they're gonna sell.
Exactly.
They're gonna sell a few more of the SWOLED and move on, innit? They'll be doing something else. Everyone else will be copycatting the Switch, and they'll be like, "Well, we're done with the fucking Switch. We're on the Swatch, man. We got something else.
We got the Swatch. We got the Game and Watch. Yeah, exactly.
And Valve will do that in another 6 years after that. Do you know what I mean?
Nintendo always on a different lane, innit? So it's a beautiful thing. I'm really embracing it because I actually don't play Steam at all. Like I'm barely on Steam. Like my most played game on it is still Orcs Must. Well, it's not. It's the newest. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's my actual most played game now officially, but because it's under NDA, it doesn't show up on my account. Is the New World Alpha? Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Which so that's easily my most played game on this account. So yeah, man.
Mine is Total War Warhammer 2. I've got 400 hours on it. I think.
I don't think I have 400 hours on any game ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of time, isn't it? Yeah, that's quite surprising. Binding of Isaac is my most played game of all time, but fucking 400.
I think I put 400 hours into Bad Company 2 on the 360 as well. Because I remember that had a playtime counter on it.
Yeah.
I think so. My most played game on Steam is Ghost in the Shell Online.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace, Dad.
Rest in peace. Rest in peace.
I've been playing Warhammer consistently since it came out, which was 2017.
2017, yeah.
And I don't think I've ever got as much money's worth out of anything.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. So the Steam Deck it looks good, and we weren't able to get one though, were we, Jake? Or did you get one in the end? Or?
I did in the end. Yeah. I managed to get. I went for the mid model. Was it T56?
Yeah. That's what I went for too.
I went for the cheaper one. But I was there in the first minute, and it was errors, so I was spamming it, and then my account got locked for 1 hour. So in an hour later, I clicked the middle one, and I managed to pre-order myself. Well,
nice.
Get myself in for once.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of had in the same moment as Jake there, we were like texting. Trying to buy it. Liam got one.
Yeah, I got one surprisingly quick. Literally less than a minute after they went live. Like I had one error when I tried to click checkout. Click checkout again, went straight through. I got very, very lucky.
Yeah.
But in that kind of period of trying to just refresh and whatever, I just thought of everything I've bought in the last 12 months.
Yeah. I do that loads.
Do you know what? Maybe I should actually just get a car or something that grown-ups buy. Do you know what I mean? That's like I was thinking
a car. Yeah. Put fucking Dirt Rally down, mate. I'm telling
you. Seriously, I'm actually not going to get one.
I did that with Skyward Sword. It was in the checkout, and then I thought, why? And I'm glad I didn't buy it because I would not have played it yet because I've been distracted by everything else.
So it's expensive as well. You know, it is in the same region as a PS5 or a Series X. You know, it is. And it is more expensive than a console. When you're going up to the higher models, but it isn't. You know, it isn't nearly as expensive as an actual gaming PC.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Gaming PC.
Yeah.
You can plug it in.
Oh yeah.
Exactly.
So did we say like Valve are making a dock as well for it?
Yeah,
that you can plug into your telly, monitor, keyboard, mouse.
Exactly. It's an ace bit of kit that should have been made 10 years ago. Do you know what I mean?
But it needed Nintendo to invent it and for other people to come and copy it.
Absolutely.
But it looks really good, and the thought of playing all these games that I was just waiting for on the Switch, and some of them I got and was disappointed when I got them, like XCOM 2 and to be honest, even Divinity, but only because I know how good Divinity looks so good on the PC. I just felt like I lost too much of that thing on the Switch.
Yeah.
You know, things like that. You know, playing them on the go, playing Knights of the Old Republic and playing Orcs Must Die and shit like that.
Yeah.
Even though I'm sure Orcs Must Die 3 is coming on the Switch, isn't it?
Eventually, but for me, it's like the indie stuff, the little bits that are like in early access for years, like Valheim. It's still in early access, probably will be for another couple of years. Brilliant game, which would be even better in bed. Loop Hero, one of the most exciting indie games in a very long time. Really interesting game, but I'm not playing a roguelike if I'm not lying down. Sorry, that's the rules.
No, I agree with that rule. But you know, I think what would be really interesting is to see, you know, say it gets like 10 million sales or something pretty quickly. Are you then going to see like, you know, Tropico 7, the devs of Tropico 7? Tropico's already got controller support, or something that doesn't have controller support. Like,
maybe Paradox, like, and just pick a Paradox game, or you know, like Terra Nil, like the indie game that I was talking about recently, the environmental, you know, rebuilding the world type of thing. It's just a mouse. You don't need a keyboard. It's just a mouse-based game. You know, will they put like some light? Will they put the time in to put some controller support in, even if it's really light? That is just, you know, changing how quick the analog stick moves, so it feels right on an analog stick. Will you see more of that?
I think we'll probably see. Well, I reckon we'll see anyway. Some things you're gonna like games will pop out and they'll have like on the like Steam Deck optimized on the banner. You know, like when you see the Xbox game boxes, it's like optimized for Series XS. I think we'll probably see that with like Steam games, and
you know,
like,
you're right.
Plays
you're
on Steam Deck, a nice little thing in a corner or whatever, or its own section of the store.
And you know what I'm excited about the most, because this doesn't happen with simply anything else other than PC. If a game isn't Steam Deck optimized, leave it to a bunch of modders, look on the Steam Workshop, and it will be. And that is a beautiful thing, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so that's an exciting, very exciting development, the Steam Deck. So, I mean, if you're interested, or even, you know, maybe you've got one, you're like Liam, you've already put your money down, or Jake, you put your money down, you're going to buy one, send us an email and let us know what your thoughts on it are. I'll read an email now, I reckon. It's a bit longer than the first one I did. So this is an email that's in our Dear Special Moves inbox. We had loads, actually, in the last week. I think we didn't have any in last week's podcast. And it's all, whenever that happens, we get loads and loads sent in, which is amazing, and because it immediately gives us like a bank of emails then. So keep doing that. Keep sending them into dearspecialmoves@gmail.com. Thank you, everyone who took the time to send one in. This one is from... Which one should I do? This one is from Fish Pockets in New Zealand, who we have spoke to a lot in the past. Fish Pocket says this: Dear Special Moves, I was wondering how on earth you guys managed to squeeze in so much TV, movies, and gaming pretty consistently between each podcast. How do you manage your time with other aspects of life, like other hobbies, sports, your partner, chores, curveballs that life throws at you? I seem to really struggle to fit in any gaming during the week, and my time spent on gaming in general has dropped significantly. I don't think I'm a particularly busy person. I have hobbies and commitments outside of gaming that also use up my time, but I don't even have kids. Yet Jake seems to make it work so well for himself.
Everyone says that.
There is a large backlog of things I would like to do and play, but it feels like the list is forever growing faster than I can chew through it. I haven't even tried Game Pass yet. In situations where time is limited, how do you decide what to focus on or play if there is nothing in particular that has its hooks in you? Loving the podcast. Really appreciate you giving up your time to do them. All the best from New Zealand. Fish Pockets.
Thank you, Fish Pockets.
Good email. The subject of that email was actually referenced in the bonus podcast, because at the beginning it was asking how we watch so much stuff, because that's what we tend to talk about in the off-topic bonus podcast that we do for patrons. I don't know. I think
it takes a lot of work, doesn't it? Even coordinating these podcasts at the moment, with all three of us working, like it's a bit of a weird one, because like none of us work a proper 9 to 5, really.
Completely,
no, because it's like, you know, Liam is basically on call if he's needed, and you know it's one for me and Mike where some of the, I don't want to speak for you, Mike, but correct me if I'm wrong, but what we do a lot of the time is project based. And even though, we might finish work in our office, sometimes there's this extracurricular thing, especially if you're working with like outside people. Like for me, it's like obviously clients, like developers and stuff, or, something goes wrong. Like this week, we had an issue with one of the games where we'd sent it out to people and there was a VSync issue, which was causing huge white flashing lights that could cause epilepsy or whatever. So it was like 11 o'clock at night. I had to send an email to everybody like, please, if you've got epilepsy, don't play this game right now. And, so it's little things like that. And it's so even just getting the three of us together for this, like that we're a day late recording this. Yeah. And if we didn't do it today, we wouldn't have been able to do it till about Wednesday next week. So I
think that there's the simple answer is that it's just an accumulation, isn't it? Because there's three of us. So maybe it seems like we're smashing through stuff all the time, but usually almost every week, there's one of us, which more often is me, who hasn't played anything or watched anything. And then but then the other two have. And then, sometimes Liam will say, I haven't played anything, I've been watching a lot of stuff or whatever, or the other way around, or and it just, because there's three of us, we've been able to manage. But sometimes I think, to be totally honest, like the last week, I can't remember if it was last week, but when we basically went through a lot of news and stuff, because we just hadn't played a huge amount and we didn't have a huge amount of emails, so we ended up like looking at the gaming news and stuff, and so we just it seems like we're getting through more than we are.
That's it. And sometimes it's funny because it's like, there's someone made a comment a couple of weeks ago that we were talking about games from 2005, but it's like, if Mike's played the game from 2005, then me and Liam have had 16 years to have played that ourselves, and then we can get involved in the discussion, So like that's
the problem is as well though, we like, I like to replay stuff. So if I do play anything, and if that week it happens to be Skyrim, then that's my gaming time gone on Skyrim, and I haven't got the gaming time hasn't gone on anything new.
Exactly. I mean, I don't really feel the pressure. Like, I don't ever see it as a chore, but sometimes if I've got an A or a B, and one of them's replaying a game and the other one's like, I can play a new game and I can talk about it in the podcast, I'll pick that. But it's just like, I don't know. It's like if you're ordering takeaway for your wife and she likes Indian more than Chinese, and you say, well, I'll go for Indian, and you don't feel like, oh, you know what I mean? So
I'm gonna leave my wife so I can have Chinese.
Yeah, exactly. And by the way, that's my real secret is my wife is like the super mum, and she knows that I do all this shit as well, and she's like just really supportive of it. So really, I don't think I could do it if it wasn't for her, to be completely honest. So that's my secret. She does everything for me, basically.
You're pretty laid back as well, aren't you? Like, generally, I'm as a play games, I think you're sort of a chilled out gamer, aren't you?
Me, chilled out gamer. I put on my Twitter bio.
That's just. Can you just make sure you credit me, please? And I'm gonna say that I am quite a stressed gamer. Like, I need to, in the sense that I need to focus on it. Like that, I'm not really enjoying it unless I'm just completely focused on it. And I really don't like to listen to things at the same time. I don't like to be talking to anyone at the same time. I don't like to. Do you know what I mean? I just want to be focused on it, and so it doesn't. To me, in my head, it doesn't even really count unless I'm sitting there doing.
When I'm playing Battlefield 5 with you guys, I'm standing up in front of the TV when we're pulling the Rager. I forgot. I stand up. When I play. Listen, when the legs come out, when I'm standing up to play Battlefield, you're getting healed, innit? For everything else, I'm sitting down.
Were we playing Apex Legends or something? And you just we were in my house.
I needed to get closer to the telly, but I didn't want to stand, so I knelt because it was more respectful. I was knelt in front of your TV,
foot away from my 50-inch TV.
That's what I'm like. I'm in kissing distance to my TV when I'm playing Battlefield, But even when I'm playing like Dark Souls and whatnot, I'm sat down. But for that, for some reason, it's because I need to see every little pixel. So I'm like a little.
I know what you mean. Like, when I play, I mostly play games on this giant ass TV behind me. I also literally just turn this chair around, so I'm like a foot, maybe two away from the screen, To the point where I was playing Skyward Sword in my living room, where I'm more like 4 or 5 feet away from the telly. I felt my eyes like straining.
Yeah. Why is it so blurry?
Yeah,
why is the text? I can't read the text.
These are quite new glasses, so I know that's not the problem. But I was like, I need to be like, when it's playing, if I'm watching like TV or movies, I can be like really far back. As soon as I have to play a game, I have to be. I'm like Jake. I have to have like my head in the telly, pretty much.
Yeah.
Or I'm not like I'm not feeling it.
Sorry, so maybe you're not as relaxed as I thought, but you know what I mean. Like, I like to be. I like to just concentrate on it. So and I think for that reason as well, I don't get through many games that are like beginning, middle, and end. Play it through and finish it. I play a lot of games like Total War and Battlefield recently and things just because they're really familiar. It always gives me something new. They're going to be
exactly
conveyor belt of things that I enjoy, and I don't have to be like completely in the zone with them. And so as a result, I end up playing them a lot more.
I think I'm mostly like mood dependent. Yeah, it's how I get through my stuff. Like, but I tend to play through new games a lot like quicker. Like I'll hammer a new game when it comes out because I'm excited for it to come out. Yeah. But yeah, like sometimes like sometimes I'll just like lose the mood and I'll be like, I'm not feeling it. Like Near Replicant, I still haven't finished that. That came out in like the end of May or something. Because I just haven't got like the hype or the mood for it anymore. As I say, like sometimes I'll get the Switch out, I'll stare at all the games I've got installed, and then just not play any of them because I'm not feeling like playing a game. And then I'll watch 4 seasons of Malcolm in the Middle back to back, which is coincidentally what I might have been doing this last week.
Liam, I'd be very careful if I was you because I think you're becoming me, and I need to push that on you. So that's really exactly what I'm like. I'm really moody with games, and I've got my PC now that I'm recording this on. I've got so many games installed on it. But am I even going to play half of these? Probably not. But I just get in this thing of like just downloading things and installing things that I think I'm in the mood for. And if I'm not, then in the mood later. But that's the whole point. It's a hobby, isn't it? Why would you do it if you weren't in the mood to do it? Like, you're only doing it for enjoyment, aren't you? So.
Exactly. Yeah, that's it. So it's about a good healthy rotation in it. Sometimes I'm into one hobby more than the other. I guess that's the answer.
Yeah, it's all an illusion. Is the answer?
Yeah, exactly.
Fish buckets. But thanks for your email. Good to hear from you again. Should we do? I reckon we probably got time to do another one.
Okay.
One more email. So this one is from Alberto in Texas. That's not Alberta, Texas. That's someone called Alberto.
Okay, nice one.
Who says, "Dear Special Moves, long-time listener and viewer, first-time writer.
Thank you.
My group of friends and I were part of the chosen ones that were lucky enough to snatch a next-gen console a few months ago. Ever since, I've been trying to convince them to give Avengers a try, since a lot of the performance issues have been ironed out in the next-gen version of the game. However, they are very reluctant on giving it a try because they default to the terrible reviews given to the game when it first launched. While the bad reviews were probably warranted given all the initial bugs and glitches, I think it is a better game now. I played it solo for a solid 35 hours and had a really good time doing it since I enjoy beat-em-up games. However, after 35 hours solo, I want to continue the experience with my buddies. I should also mention that I have known this group of friends for over 20 years. So I feel I have a better understanding of the type of games that they would like than reviews, and like I mentioned earlier, beat-em-up games is one of them. I guess the question is, what are your thoughts on how launch reviews can affect people's views on a game, even if it gets better down the line? Also, what is your opinion on how reviewers can have a deeper influence than an old-time friend?
Oh, no.
Who knows what type of stuff that you would enjoy? Keep up the good work. I enjoy your podcast while I go on my walks and do chores around the house. I hope to hear your opinion answers in the podcast, Alberto. Thank you, Alberto.
Wow. Can I just be the first person to say, Alberto, that the best, the best weapon in your arsenal right now, mate, is this. On the 29th of July till the 1st or 2nd of August, Avengers is free to play. They announced that today. I just saw it on Twitter just before recording.
That's not. I thought you were going to say the best weapon in your arsenal is just have fun, mate. Just
tell them to get fucked, mate. Yeah, no. Honestly, yeah, exactly. No, it's actually free to play next week, mate. So there we are. Just persuade them to give it a go for free. But you know, all I've got to tell you is this dead quickly. Yeah, if you're a friend for a long time, and yeah, you should recommend something. It happens. I try to recommend True Detective Season 3 to Mike. It doesn't work, right? So sometimes you win some, sometimes you lose some. But Liam has his fucking hooks deep in me. If Liam says something's good, I'll try it. And I can't remember what the last 3 things he's recommended are, but they've all been good. What were they, Liam? They were like weird things I would never have watched. I can't remember, but Liam said that they were
the last 3 things you recommended me, please.
No. Yeah, go on, Liam. No. Liam recommended a couple of things I'd never, ever check out in a million years, but Liam said they're good. And he's been right. So it works. But some people have got a bit of a, like, I don't know, like my friend Kale, yeah? Anytime he gets a game and he likes it, he tells me it's the best game ever, so I can buy it and we can play it together. Yeah. But he doesn't even, it's not that he doesn't mean it, but it's just, he's tricked himself. I think he tried to persuade me to get like Injustice 2 when it came out or something. Do you know what I mean? He's like one of them guys, isn't it? So shouts out to him. But it's like whatever game they're playing and they're into is the best. I'm a bit like that, innit? Like whenever I like something, I tell everyone it's like the best thing ever. But it's, yeah, so maybe there's that. Maybe they just kind of think maybe you're an excitable guy, Alberto, or maybe they're thinking you just want to rope us in so you don't have to play it by yourself. But you know, blah blah blah.
And those types of, I think the problem in that specific case is that it's a tough sell because those games are so like time consuming by nature. They're designed to be. You're supposed to be incorporating it into your part of your life. You know, if you're playing Destiny. You're playing Destiny, like that's you're checking in on Tuesdays, and you know, imagine trying to convince someone that Anthem is worth their time. If you're really into Anthem, you're not going to do that. Because the reviews for that are so overwhelmingly negative and mediocre. You're just never going to persuade anyone to get into Anthem. So the reviews, I think, for those types of games is fucking brutal. Unless it's like a famous turnaround, unless it is like No Man's Sky. Or, you know, Destiny, to be honest. You know, even if it has to be something where everyone knows now that it's better than it was when it came out.
But to be honest, that's the whole thing, isn't it? If it is significantly better, you do hear about it. Yeah. You do hear about Final Fantasy 14. You do hear about Destiny. You do hear about No Man's Sky. So it's one of them, isn't it? But as for what you said about launch reviews, I just think that at the moment, there's more games than ever. Our last email was literally, how do we manage to do it? And the answer is we don't. Like, we've been recording this podcast for like 40 minutes. We haven't talked about a single new game, I don't think. And we have played some. But the point is, like, getting a journalist then to re-review a game 6 months later because you finally got it to where it should have been when it came out. It's like when it's an 80-hour game or something, it's like, oof. So it's, I don't know. I think it's a tough thing to ask from journalists, basically, to rehash. You know, you're better off looking at YouTubers that do it, but even then. So it's a tough one to answer, isn't it? But it's kind of a weird thing to expect games to get that much better if they're great at first. You know, that should be what they're aiming for. Just come out the gate swinging.
It's brutal, isn't it? But like Jake said, you know, there's a free thing, and that's the free week or free weekend or whatever coming up for Avengers. But that's the other flips. That's the other benefit, isn't it? If the developers are still interested in, and the publishers are still interested in the game and think it's got a future, they'll do shit like that to bring people back in, and you know, hopefully, you know, some of your friends will give it a spin, and you know, for free. That's the best chance you're going to get, isn't it? So. All right, thanks for the email. Thanks for the emails, everyone who sent them in. Please keep them coming to dearspecialmoves@gmail.com. It does help us put the podcast together. It gives us stuff to talk about, which is very nice. Do you guys want to talk about anything else before we do the new game?
Well,
there was a couple of pretty big ones.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, you know, I played 200 hours of New Worlds ready for this moment, and now I feel like... Yeah, tell us what you think of New World. I actually think that would be funny.
Oh yeah,
go on.
So my first impression of New World was the day
what is this first? Let's just
all right. So New World is it's a new MMO made by Amazon Game Studios. I think it's Amazon's last game that they've actually still got going that they've not
It is.
Cancelled, and then, well, what was that? Crucible they took into open beta, took it out of open beta, and then cancelled it. After they released it.
Yeah, it got beaten back into the womb.
Yeah, that's a pretty apt way to put it. But yeah, it's a new world. It's I guess you could call it a sandbox MMO. It's very very player driven. There's a lot of PvP focus, a lot of like taking over territory, factions, like player economy. Like players can set taxes. From what I gathered, from what I played of it.
That'll be very appealing to certain players.
It's always nice when you walk into a new settlement and it tells you the tax rate on crafting. But it's an
set by Douche Raider 69. The Douche Raider 69 tax for this town.
Actually, there was the controlling guild of Everfall at the moment in my server is called Pond Scum, and the main character is called Make Me Nut. There we go. As you were, Liam.
It's also it's also an action MMO, so it's not like World of Warcraft or Final Fantasy 14 where you're queuing up skills and you got your macros and your hotkeys set up. It's real time action. You're swinging a sword or or shooting a musket, flinging an axe, whatever. You can swap your weapon at any time. There's no classes as far as I can tell.
No,
just straight up pick whatever weapon you want. You get like proficiency with that weapon, bit Elder Scrolls like, where the more you use it, better skills you get, and you've got skill trees for all the weapons. A lot of crafting focus as well. There's a lot of materials. Very big menu. The stuff you can craft at like campfires and stonesmiths and leatherworks and whatever else. If you can think of things that make items, it's probably in there. So they had a closed beta which opened. When was it? When did it open?
The 20th, July the 20th.
So not that long ago, only a few days ago. My first impression of it was I loaded up the game. Jake told me what world he was in, so I made a character for that world. I sat in a queue for an hour because the servers were getting hammered. I got to place 48, I think I was, in the queue, when the game errored out, said failed to join the queue, and then told me the servers were down for maintenance. And so that was my first night playing New World. Sat in a queue for an hour and a half. So I tried it again in the morning, managed to actually get into the world this time with the character I made. And it's pretty decent so far, to be fair. It strikes me as pretty similar to... There was an old free-to-play Korean MMO I played years ago called Hunters, or Hunter Z. Can't remember it. Basically a Monster Hunter knockoff. And it plays a lot like that, to be honest. Reminds me a little bit of Phantasy Star as well. Not so much even a little bit like New Genesis because of the whole like open world frontier aspect to it of unexplored horizons. So New World, I think I got to level 12, I think I got to, before I decided to call it a day. It's got promise, I think. Obviously, I don't know, of course with MMOs, like, the big thing is always the end game. How's the end game going to hold up? Raiding and all that.
Yeah.
So I haven't got through any of that stuff, but so far, it's been pretty standard MMO stuff. Go here, kill a few skeletons, go here, kill a few, boar, hunt a few animals, get their skin, turn that into a bag or a pouch. Pretty standard MMO stuff. But it does it well, is the thing I can say about it. It's not boring. The combat is engaging enough. I like being able to swap between whatever weapon you want and how that changes your play style, pretty much. I'm looking forward to checking out more of the closed beta. I still feel like I'm quite fresh into it, but I do want to play more.
That's cool. I got to level 20 in a couple of hours, and I noticed quite a lot of changes. The big one is that a house used to cost 5,000 gold in alpha. It's 5 million gold now, so that was a bit disappointing. Yeah, they've really given you stuff to push for endgame. Endgame content in the alpha was good. In the closed beta, it looks like it'll be the same. I don't think they've added anything. content-wise between what I did play and what's available now. But they've added, like, they've got dungeons, but they call them expeditions, and they get really funny about you calling them dungeons, but they're dungeons. And that's good. After level 20, the game changes quite a bit because you can do a lot more of like the team-based stuff. I was in a war today, a 50 versus 50 player war. The first one of the server as well. Very decent. It's cool. It was good to see like how regular people took on the war, and it's fun to be in. Like, yeah. I guess I'll talk about it like another week when we're not so stacked with stuff to talk about, because like I've got some, I know the game inside out. Like I know every area. Like, you know, I'm one of them guys in the help when people say, where do I find River Crest? I'm like, oh, I know exactly where it is. So it's like, I've got an expertise for it, innit? So like, I'll talk about it another time when it's cooling down, maybe at the end of the beta. But if anyone's playing, just and you're in Europe, let us know what server you're on or something, and see if we can smash some skulls together, innit?
If you ever see Sad Ghost, that's me.
I think Sad Ghost is a fucking good name,
because it was inspired by our chat about a ghost story starring Casey Affleck.
Sad Ghost is a really sick name.
Sad Ghost.
Mine's a disgusting word. Mine's the word swell, which describes a lot of things, but it was actually I actually wanted to just get the name okay, but it was taken. So was decent, so was good. So I thought swell, but it's actually like a disgusting bodily thing, isn't it?
You're in a clan with Make Me Nut.
You Make Me Nut and Swell, the fucking egg team. Yeah, no, So my alpha nickname Daddy was taken straight away with but I'll tell you what, I couldn't. That was my name in the alpha, wasn't it? But I couldn't
I
even.
think we should wrap this podcast up.
Can I just say no? I need to say one more. Let me encore. I need to tell you one more thing. It's not about a New World. I plan to play a lot more New World, but I've been absolutely swept off my feet by the most unsuspecting game that is a little darling, and it's Pokémon Unite. I just want to quickly say this stupid game that shouldn't even exist is like amazing, and it's like, I know that's a very clickbaity thing to say, but it's a completely free MOBA on the Switch in the Pokemon universe. It's real time. It's just League of Legends. It is literally League of Legends, but with Pokemon, and it is completely free. It's not like free to play, but then you can buy potions. It's actually entirely cosmetic, which is a really big win. And it is incredibly playable. Dopamine hits everywhere. Like to the point where today I could have played New World for a couple of hours and I chose Pokemon Unite over it. Leon played New World and I played Pokemon Unite. What a little switcheroo. So I'll talk more about it maybe when we've got some more time or something, but I just wanted to say that it's... I remember this getting announced and everyone going,
yeah,
what? But everyone's like enamored by it, and it's quite weird. But how can you argue with very easy to pick up? How can you argue with it being free? And you don't even need the Nintendo Switch Online to play it. It bypasses that. So it's literally, it takes you 3 minutes to download it. It takes you 5 minutes to learn the rules, and then you're in. And it's so... Oh my god! Yeah. It's what a game should be, isn't it? Really easy to pick up, easy to play, and oh man, it's properly good. Like, yeah.
Okay.
So that's the quick drive-by Pokemon Unite on the Switch. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right. So let's do the new games then. So I don't know if maybe you missed last week's podcast, but the way we're going to do the new games from now on is every game that's come out the week of the podcast. So Monday to Friday or whatever. Oh, yeah. Of the week of the podcast, that's what we're going to do. We just makes it a little bit clearer, I think. So in that case, there'll be a few games that are already out and a few games that are not out yet every week. So on the 20th of July, which was the Tuesday this week, there was a few games. There was Akiba's Trip, Hellbound and Debriefed out on PC, Nintendo Switch and PS4. Do you guys know about this?
Hellbound and Debriefed is a sick name.
It's debriefed as in removed clothing. Cause it's also the game. It's Akiba's Trip, but they purposely in the logo make the what's it called, the apostrophe. Oh, yeah, the apostrophe in Akiba's, so it looks like Akiba Strip, and you defeat enemies by stripping their clothes off them.
Right, I'll just post a visual aid for you here, Mike. There we go.
I remember seeing this game.
Why are they always on the Switch? There's so many of these on the fucking Switch.
And this is a HD remaster of the first game, I think. I remember seeing... There was one of them...
Why?
Yeah.
Why is it a HD
I remember...
remaster?
It was like back in 2012 or something. There was a sequel on PS4 called Akiba's Trip. Undead... No, was it? Undead and Undressed, I think it was called. But it got weirdly big on Twitch for a while. It was when Twitch was seeing like what can they push the limits of what you can do on Twitch, because it's a very lewd game.
It's like there's so many of these, but it's weird that any single one of them would stand out. You know, in any way. I
think
featured on a list. Anyway.
I think the gameplay is like a hack and slash RPG type thing.
Sure.
But Japan.
So there's that. There's Ender Lilies, Quietus of the Nights, which is on PS4. Liam, you mentioned this.
I've played this on Switch. Yeah. It's a Metroidvania with a sort of Bloodborne-ish looking art style. There's a lot of things that transform into beasts and scream at you. So that's just automatically, you have to compare it to Bloodborne if that happens.
Yeah.
It's a Metroidvania. It's got really nice music, really nice art style. I've not finished it. It's quite challenging, to be fair. It reminds me a little bit of like Hollow Knight difficulty, but not in the way of it's gonna like hand you your ass and you're gonna lose resources, like you've lost your currency in Hollow Knight. It's more like about learning enemy patterns, learning boss patterns, a lot of backtracking, of course, a lot of getting new abilities to open up new areas, find secrets. Pretty standard Metroidvania. But yeah, it's the music and art is what sets it apart, and it's quite fun. Like a bit bleak. It's a very bleak game, story wise, very depressing, but good game so far. I will finish it eventually.
Cotton Reboot is out on Nintendo Switch and PS4. So this is a game. Looks like a game from the fucking early '90s to me. That is being brought back for current gen. So that's on Switch and PS4. It's like a really old-fashioned sort of shoot 'em up type thing.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Tales is out on PC, Switch, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X, and Google Stadia. Chris Tales.
Yeah, it's a JRPG by Colombian devs, and it's like an old school throwback. It's like made modern, but it's like inspired by Chrono Trigger and Final Fantasy and stuff like that. I did the PR on it, so I'm just reading the PR notes. But yeah, it's weird because it's like past, present, and future on the screen all at once. Yep. The left is past, there's a present, and the future. Yeah, it's on Game Pass. Yeah.
And there's something called Death's Door.
Looks ace.
I was almost bought it the other day, but got distracted.
Very good reviews. It's out on, so it's called Death's Door. It's out on PC, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X.
Right.
It's a Devolver Digital.
Do you know that game, Tunic, that it was showing about that like fox and he's running around being a fox? Imagine that. Imagine the art style in your head. Picture that, yeah? Make in your head, make the brightness a little darker and replace him with a fox not a fox, replace him with a crow or a raven. That is what it is. You play as like a raven running around in this Tunic-looking world. It's basically Tunic before Tunic's come out, and it smashed it. It's got amazing reviews.
A whiff of Hyper Light Drifter.
Yeah.
I think it's made by...
Really good.
Who did they make? Titan Souls. Same people who made that, like 2-person studio, I think it is.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, it's not on the Switch, so I'm not going to play it. But when it comes on the Switch, which I'm
that's why you need a Steam Deck.
Yeah, Steam Deck.
Exactly. Okay, so that was the 20th. On the 21st was Pokémon Unite on Nintendo Switch, which Jake has already mentioned.
Yep.
So that's already out. And the 22nd, there's a game called Last Stop out on PC, Nintendo Switch, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X. This is an Annapurna interactive game, which should give you some idea of what that means.
I don't think it's reviewed particularly well. Some reviews came out for it the other day, and yeah, it's a lot of... I've seen a lot of not captions, like excerpts saying like shows promise but ultimately disappoints. Seems to be like a common theme among them.
7 out of 10 everywhere, apart from IGN, who gave it a 6.
Yeah. Okay. So that was Last Stop. Do you know what? There's something about that idea of like a present day, but also there's a bit of magic and some orcs knocking around. Has that? You know, just that as an idea is difficult to get right, I think.
Orcs knocking around.
Speaking of which, the main event of the calendar year, Orcs Must Die 3 is out on PC, PS4, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X on the 23rd of July. That's today, if you're listening to the podcast on the day of release.
I would say years of podcast service to every single listener will be worth it if one person listening to this podcast buys Orcs Must Die 1, 2, or 3. By the way, 1 and 2, they're about like £1 each on Steam. Have a little look at this game. It is the best.
To which point, how are we not drowning in codes for Orcs Must Die 3? How are we not doing a giveaway of 1,000 Orcs Must Die codes?
Yeah. We are the most official Orcs Must Die ambassadors, right? There's no other. Who is there else on YouTube who's
the most consistent? Like we've got to be the most frequent mentioners of how good Orcs Must Die is. Well, the Orcs Must Die 3 is out on basically things that you don't have to get streamed, because it was on Stadia as an exclusive, which I still haven't played it for that reason. But you can actually play it on a local bit of gaming hardware now because it's on PC, PS4, and Xbox. So I can't wait for this. I'm going to get it. Now that I know that it's not on PS5. Just want to make sure if it's not running at 60 FPS, that might be enough for me to get it on PC, to be honest. But otherwise, I'll get it on PlayStation.
I'll get it on whatever you want. I'll get it on both if I need to. I'm just going to go for the platinum.
Well, we should, like I said, we should be getting some fucking codes and some hardware, to be honest, to be playing it on. That's it. That's Orcs Must Die 3. That's the biggest game of the year. That's all the games for this week that I have got noted down anyway. Thanks everyone who sent in your emails. Please keep them coming in. If you're a Patreon, check out the Patreon page for regular bonus episodes about other stuff, maybe sometimes more gaming stuff. And thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.